Hey Central Florida, James Hanson here today with Wesley Stout in beautiful Oklahoma, Florida. Here to talk today about community, faith, and art, and how it affects us all. So, Mr. Wesley, Mr. Stout, how should I call you?
Just call me Wesley.
Wesley. Okay, so Wesley, you've talked to me a few times about a particular instance you had in your life in which you questioned your faith in God with your bout with cancer. Would you like to share with the audience your testimony today?
Well, I never really questioned my faith. I think it was not questioning my faith that got me through it. As a teenager, I remember a prayer where I said, "Hey God, whoever you are and whatever your name is, I want to know the real you." So I considered all the different names, and the one who answered me back was the one I stuck with. The thing with cancer is, about 3 years ago, I was thinking about different people who have powerful testimonies. And it seems like the people who make the most difference in the world are the ones who've gone through the most. And what makes them powerful is who they are when they come out of it. So I thought for a while, and I thought, wow, I can say no, I can say yes. I mean, is this really God asking me if I want to take on something like cancer? And I thought, well, if I've actually considered the testimony, I've asked for it. So I said, okay, whatever's best, I'll take. It was 2 weeks later, I was diagnosed with cancer. And for a couple of years, I just kept going farther and farther downhill. It got so bad that I could only be on my feet for a matter of minutes a day. I had body pains that you couldn't imagine. And all kind of other symptoms got involved with it too. It wasn't just cancer; it was a breakdown of my physical body. I became too dizzy to walk. Blood pressure went sky high. Prostate issues just multiplied, and I had like infections in my lung and different things. And for a while there, the only thing that kept me from thinking that I was dying was that the Lord said, "Would I bear this for His glory?" And I still hadn't asked Him to take it away. And then one day, standing almost in this spot where I am now, I stopped on my way out the door and I said, "Hey God, it's been 2 years. Is it time for glory?" And I had just had the MRI, and the doctor said that it had tripled and that it was growing fast, and he had been pushing me for treatment. Radiation or surgery, and I kept saying, when the time is right, we'll talk about it. So at this point, I prayed about a 6-second prayer. And I said, "Lord, thanks for everything, but I'm tired of this cancer. I don't want it anymore." So then I spoke to cancer, and this is the definition of spiritual warfare. I turned to my enemy, and I said, "Cancer, in the name of Jesus, I bind you. Get out of my life. I don't want you anymore." I went out the door. That was the end of my prayer. So my MRI was on a Thursday, I think, and about Monday or Tuesday the next week, the doctor told me he did triple biopsies of he was going to hit. I think he said he was going to do 6 biopsies in a small area, and he did 18 instead. And he put me on the spot as I was coming out of the anesthesia. He said, "We got to talk treatment." I said, "Okay, it's time. Look at the results for the biopsy and we'll talk treatment." In a few days, he called me back and said, "Mr. Stout, I'll make you an appointment for 6 months from now to look at you, but meanwhile, I can't find anything. It's gone."
Wow.
And since then, he has stood up for me with other doctors and said, yes, he does not have cancer. So now, I'm one of those people that have had the experience that can tell you that God is powerful and that there is a reason, usually, when we have to go through bad things. Because when we come out of it, we're either stronger for ourselves or we're stronger for somebody else. And the results of my having cancer is that I can tell you to have faith in God and back it up by my own confidence that I'm not just preaching some line from a sermon somewhere. It's me, it's real.
That's really powerful. Wow.
It worked for heart disease back in the late 70s too.
Did you have a similar experience with heart disease?
I was seeing a doctor every Wednesday, and of course, you know doctors. This one may have been just having me there to take money from me, but I did have a very irregular heartbeat. There was something wrong. It was serious, and he had me on strong medicines. And one day, I looked at the medicines and I said, "You know, God, I never really had any concern or pain until I started taking the medicine. So I don't want it anymore." I set it down, and I said, "Let's see what you can do." And when I went in to see the doctor, a nurse gave me an EKG, and she said, "I need to go get the doctor." So she excused herself. The doctor came in and he said, "Son, this is looking bad. It looks like I'm going to have to double your medicines, but I want to see this for myself before I do anything that drastic." He turned the EKG machine on again, and a little stream of paper began to roll out of it, and I looked up at the ceiling and said, "Okay, Jesus, show this guy what you can do." He stood there until his feet were covered with paper, hit the button on the machine and said, "Well, I guess you're all right." That was perfect. He walked out the door. I never saw him again. He never saw me again. And since then, I asked the doctor, "How's my heart, doc?" And the doctor will say, "Like a 20-year-old.
Wow. Okay. And how have these experiences, like, have they affected your art at all, or how you approach it?
I think my art is very natural, and in everything I'm doing, I'm trying to stay true to my original purpose. I can paint abstract. I had a class once say, "Let's paint something abstract." I said, "Okay, but it's not going to last long." And about 10 minutes later, we had abstract. It's something you throw together, and you don't have a pattern to it. But life has patterns and reasons and laws and things, and I look at nature and it's so beautiful, I have trouble getting away from it. So even when I augment nature a little bit to make something fall into a frame properly, I'm still trying to stay true, because God is the greatest artist, and if I can mimic him, that's about as good as I can get.
Interesting. And we actually have some nice B-roll here of some of your artwork to show the audience.
Okay.
So how long have you been working as an artist?
Well,
Not just working, rather, but what's your, here's a better question. What's your earliest memory of
it's not my memory as much as someone else's. Someone said that I announced that I was an artist when I was 4 years old. I think I was probably 5 or 6 years old, and I saw my mother's scrapbook, and she had some drawings, and they were good. And at that age, I realized, wow, she's something special. And she had drawn a star that was so perfect that it looked like a machine had done it. And I asked her, "How did you do that?" She said, "Just freehanded it." And then I thought, wow, maybe that's in me. And then I went through life trying to do everything else in the world and failing at it. So one day I got the idea that I wasn't made to do anything but one thing. If I can find that, I'll be happy. So, find one thing, be happy.
Wise words. I try to live by that. When we spoke about me changing my major to something completely different just because I wasn't liking what I was doing. For me, that was computer science, and I don't know what that might have been for you.
Most people are motivated by money.
Yeah?
Or they're motivated by power. But how many people are motivated by finding out the meaning of life and fulfilling it?
I'm sure I have a philosophy teacher, maybe. Because he certainly doesn't teach for money. Yeah. Okay, very interesting. Let me just look over my things real quick. So for any artists out there who might be struggling with trying to figure out what exactly their purpose is, or what exactly their intention is when it comes to creating art, whether that might be abstract, natural, landscape, sculptures, anything. Do you have any words of wisdom?
Art is about life. It isn't life imitating art or art imitating life. It's about art being life. And the first canvas that we paint is our life. And if we don't have joy, people who look at us are not going to feel it. If we're miserable, people will feel it. So the first thing an artist must do is find peace and find his reason for existing and do it with everything he's got. And that isn't about money, so you may have to keep your day job for a while. And it isn't about worldly success, so you may have to do something else. But to be a true artist, it doesn't mean doing something somebody else wants you to do or what you're being paid to do. It's about doing what you were born to do. And about really being who you are.
Excellent. Thank you. I appreciate that very much. Thank you for sharing.
That's art.
Absolutely. So, you know, you do art as mainly your day job, correct?
I don't see it as a job anymore.
Well, yeah, yes.
My job now is to find something good to do. I made a deal with God. I said, if you'll let me work for you a few days a week, I'll expect you to pay my bills. And within a few days, I started getting some phone calls and started doing some bigger jobs, and better jobs. And since I have become semi-retired, my art is more successful. But when I was spending my time just trying to survive as an artist, I wasn't very proud of myself. And I wasn't accomplishing much. I was failing mostly. But when I started working for the guy who made me, he started taking care of the bills. I'm better off now that I'm not out looking for work than I was when I was struggling to find it. So now when I've got time, I'm writing an article. I'm working in the farm to produce food to give somebody or teach somebody to grow their vegetables, or going to meet with the pastor about something at the church, or helping somebody.
Nice. And you've spoken to me a couple of times about going to churches, and because there's a pretty bad homeless problem in the world.
There's about 200 around Leesburg, and Leesburg's not a large town.
No, that's a pretty large percentage for a town like Leesburg.
They're everywhere. We don't see them, but they're everywhere. And it's not all people who are just sleeping on park benches. It's families in hotel rooms and cars, and people just don't own anything for themselves. And the biggest thing that homeless people lose is their identity as a human, because they feel separated from the rest of the community. And there's reason for it. I mean, I meet people, and often people who are willing to help are people who say, you know, I was homeless once for so many months, or for so many weeks. I was sleeping in my car, or really felt desperate. So I can associate a little bit. But not many of us have been there. We've always had something or somebody to fall back on. But where do people go when they run out of hope?
And so I'm you have thoughts of working with your local church to try and help teach them to provide for homeless, or provide for people, provide for themselves, really.
Well, I got the idea when I started actually going on YouTube and doing research and finding out just how much produce can be produced in a very small area with, they call it urban farming techniques, the square foot farming, there's different names for it. But there are people who actually start a grow room, and it sounds funny to say that because you question the legality, but there are people who are growing edibles in a bedroom of their house and making $30,000 a year doing it. There are people with a small backyard. I know I've looked at cases like a man who had a third of an acre. His house was on this and he was living on it, but he was also making about $60,000 a year producing vegetables for local restaurants on that acreage. So an average size backyard will not only feed a family, but it'll feed an extra family. And if it'll do that, then why not groups like churches can organize farming in their own backyards or their church property and start feeding the poor. Then the poor can come to their meetings, can be blessed by meeting people who still care about them, and take a bag of groceries with them when they leave. It's a win-win, and we can all do it.
Absolutely. I know my backyard's fairly sizable. I mean, I can certainly start growing something. I don't know where to start.
People can grow things on a balcony. In a nearby town, there's actually a business selling produce. And this is downtown. Mm-hmm. Their garden is on their roof.
Huh. How do they get like?
They have a greenhouse. They have aquaponics. They have aquaponics stuff going on. They've got towers of growth where they're growing things like barrel growing. There's some methods that will quadruple the yield, and it will shorten the time. And then you start to eliminate the cold winter months. And you just keep going. You can add lights. You got growing into the night. There's just so many things that can be done.
Any helpful tips for people that might want to start developing their own gardens?
Back to YouTube. Find people who are doing it. Find something you want to try. Make a few mistakes. Sacrifice a season or two to the bugs, and before long you're actually getting some success going. It's one of those things to where you don't despise small beginnings, and you forgive yourself for failures, and you keep keeping your fingernails dirty. And the next thing you know, you've got a plate in front of you, and you realize, I grew this. I'm a farmer.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, I haven't had it myself, but I can imagine it's pretty fulfilling to be able to eat something that you grew on your own.
We put out, I have a couple grapevines out there, and one of them's a couple of years old. And grapevines don't produce the first year.
They don't?
They may not produce the second year. It may take several years to get them established. Grapes like to put roots down hundreds of feet. So it takes a little time, and I was out there this morning, and I came back in with one little muscadine grape. I gave it to my wife and said, here is our harvest. This is 2018 harvest for our grapes. One grape. She popped it in her mouth and that's good.
Was it?
One grape. And we worked on that one grape for 2 years.
Wow. Okay.
But that one little grape was a big success in a way.
Okay. So you have a website that you have called Brush Commando, or is Brush Commander?
Actually, that's my email address. My website is Wesley Stout School of Art.
I'm sorry.
.com.
My bad. Sorry. That's your title, rather. Wesley Stout, the Brush Commander.
Yeah, I was trying to come up with a new email address because my other one has 1,015 junk mails on it. So I need to get away from it, and I come up with Brush Commander.
Okay. And what can people glean from Wesley Stout School of Art?
Well, I've kind of come up with a philosophy that everything can be broken down into basics. So I take the basics for art is brush strokes. You can use that's like making tacos. You take the same half dozen ingredients, and you can make how many different Mexican dishes. So you take those few brush strokes and you rearrange them, you tweak them a little bit, and you can paint anything you want to. It's tools in a toolbox.
Okay. So, are we running low on time?
We ran out of time, but then I started it back up.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
We missed about 1 second of conversation.
Oh. Did you give me the signal?
I did this.
Oh, yeah, I wasn't looking. I'm sorry.
It was the word artichoke, I think it missed.
Yeah.
If you just want to say it again, you can. If you don't have to.
Artichoke.
Yeah, say it, and I'll splice it in. Sorry, I didn't mean to stop you mid-conversation. I just want to make sure I'm going through all my...
Oh, it times out in so many seconds or minutes.
Yeah, 20 minutes for some reason, so...
Oh, okay.
Alright, cool. So, yeah, for this last part, I just, have you promote any WesleySchoolBard.com. It's .com or is it .net?
I'm not really into the school much anymore. I
No.
was having too much trouble. The marketing just went over my head.
I gotcha.
Yeah, it's hard to find the people, and now I'm getting so busy, my thing now is with the church.
Okay. Is there anything that you want to promote towards this end, or?
Can we talk about wisdom and knowledge?
Yes. Go ahead. Just go ahead.
Okay. Out of art, and out of my faith in God, and out of Hard Knock School, and out of 66 years of living, I've come down to the most important things in life is actually being known as a wise man on your tombstone. That someone can remember, he said this to me and it made a difference. He did this for me and it made a difference. So it's like, what can we leave when we leave is going to be a good work that we did in someone else's life. And what I'm finding now, we hear all the jokes about millennials and Generation X and all of this, and I've actually in my lifetime, I've watched one generation let the next generation down in that they don't teach them how to be strong, how to be durable, how to be ingenious as far as being creative. Like what I say to people about art, is being creative is a survival tool.
Mm-hmm.
Because you take what you've got and you make something beautiful out of it, and that's art. If you got hard times, you make something out of it. It comes down to, all right, let me just give you an example of something I believe the Lord talked to me about. It's wisdom and knowledge is a big thing. Everybody has a little bit of knowledge. Maybe it's just that much. And they all want to get more. I mean, I stay up to 2 o'clock in the morning researching something online because I want knowledge, I want knowledge, I want knowledge. But if we get knowledge and we don't understand that knowledge, a little bit of knowledge is a dangerous thing, because then we get opinions and ideas and we start making up understanding about knowledge. So the order of being a wise person, for me to be a wise man, or to someone to be a wise woman or a wise child, wise dog, anything, is you take what little bit you know and you begin to understand it. And that understanding of a little bit is worth more than having more and more and more knowledge. Because you don't know if knowledge is true or not.
Yeah.
You don't know the source it came from. But if you understand it, it makes sense to you. So you get a little understanding of that knowledge. Then when you've got some understanding, you have to start making choices. So then it comes down to where you get wisdom, you get understanding, then you become responsible. If you make responsible choices about things you understand, even if it's a little bit, that's valuable. And wisdom is being responsible, owning what you know, not pushing it off on somebody else, but taking what little you've learned and running with it with understanding. Then when you've got understanding, somebody's going to take notice and give you promotion, because they realize what you know you use. And when you use what you know, there's a leadership quality there. People will follow you. So success in life is being responsible with what you know because you understand it. And then I find that when you get to that level and you get leaders, you get responsibility. Responsibility leads to leadership. Leadership leads to promotion. And then when you move in levels of understanding until God Himself starts connecting you with His own mind, His own Holy Spirit, and you start knowing things you didn't learn because you have moved into the mind of God. And the mind of God is kind of like water to a fish or air to a bird. It's light. The Bible says God is light. Anything we absolutely need to know is there, and it'll come out of a relationship with God. But God doesn't have a relationship with idiots. He has a relationship with people who will take what little bit they've got, understand it and be responsible for what they know, and put it with their actions and their decisions, and that is being wise.
Very powerful words, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay. So if I can leave anything with anybody, there it is.
Excellent. Well, thank you, and thank you guys in the audience for joining us today. I'm James Hanson with Central Florida Voice. This has been Wesley Stout, and have a great day. Hey everyone, it's James. Thanks for checking out my latest video. You can find a link to everything we talked about in this video in the description below, as well as our social media links down in the description. Make sure to check us out at centralfloridavoice.com, facebook.com/centralfloridavoice. Message us at centralvoice on Twitter, and check us out on the Central Florida Voice Instagram. Thank you. Have a great day. Oh, and don't forget to, follow me on Snapchat if you want to see more stuff about my editing and everything. See you later.